Hello, so this video is going to show writing and solving two-step equations. This is going to go with your review as well as the quiz that y'all took home this afternoon if you didn't finish it in class. I know that writing and solving was two separate lessons, but I am going to show you solving them first and then writing from a word problem and then solving it at the same time, because the important thing is to know how to write it and to solve it, because there's not really a whole lot of sense in writing a problem and then not solving it. So let's just look at a problem that's not attached to a word problem. Let's look at g over 3 minus 7 equals 15. Okay, so our whole goal here is to solve for g. We want to know what g is. So the first thing, what we've got to do is we've got to isolate our variable. And that means is to get g by itself. So we've got to look at everything that we've got going on this side of the equal sign, and we've got to basically move it over here. That way we've got g by itself. So you want to look at your addition and your subtraction first. And whenever you're looking at these, just your individual numbers or your integers, you want to make sure and look at the sign before it. That way you can add it to this number. So you want to look at this. Instead of minus 7, you want to look at it as negative 7. They do mean the same thing. So what you want to do is you want to make this 0. You want to eliminate this or cancel this out. So since this is negative 7, you want to add 7 over here, which equals 0. And since you added 7 over here, you've also got to add 7 over here. 15 plus 7 equals 22. And we're done with this. So now what we want to do is we want to rewrite it with what we have left, which is g over 3 equals 22. Okay, so this was our first step. Now we're working on our second step. This is why these are called two-step equations. So now what we want to do is we want to look at this. We always want to do the opposite operation to isolate everything. So this is g divided by 3. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by the denominator. That cancels these out. So now we have g by herself. But we have to do to this side whatever we did to this side. So I'm going to multiply this side times 3. So we have g equals 22 times 3, which is 66. And that's our answer. Okay. So now let's look at a different problem. Let's look at negative 9h minus 15 equals 93. Okay. So again, we want to start with our addition or subtraction first. This is negative 15, so we want to add 15. That way we can cancel it out and make it 0. Since I added 15 over here, I've also got to add 15 over here. 3 plus 5 is 8. 9 plus 1 is 10. I'm going to rewrite it as negative 9h equals 108. Okay? Now, this right here is a multiplication. Since we want to do the opposite operation, I'm going to divide by negative 9, which cancels these out. And since I divided by negative 9 over here, I've also got to divide negative 9 over here. And now we're just going to top in, bottom out. 108 divided by 9. 9 goes into 10 once. And 9 goes into 18 two times. Okay? So h equals... Now let's look at it for a little bit. We're working with negatives, so you have to go back to your integer signs. I know that I've been stressing that. You've got to get out your student notebook at the very beginning. You've got to use this with every single problem, especially if there are negatives involved. This is a positive divided by a negative, so they're different signs. So if I'm dividing with different signs, it means that my answer is always going to be negative. That way I have h equals negative 12. All right, so now let's look at one of the word problems. I'm going to scooch this up a little bit. All right. All right, so it says Daphne gave away 3 more than half of her apples. She gave away 17 apples in all. How many apples did Daphne have originally? So what I like to do with these problems is I like to get a highlighter or a pencil or something, that way I can highlight and circle, because I want to identify everything that I can use in the problem. The first thing that I like to identify is what I don't know. I'm going to read it again. Daphne gave away three more than half of her apples. She gave away 17 apples in all. How many apples did Daphne have originally? So I don't know how many she started with. So that is my X. Okay? So my X equals my apples, or the number of apples that I started with. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to highlight the other stuff. So 3 more. More is your keyword for plus. So I have 3 plus. Okay? And then it says half of her apples. Well, this is kind of confusing. Do I know how many apples I have? No. But that's my X. But think about it. Anytime you want to take half of something, what are you going to do? You're going to divide it by 2. So how many apples do I have? I have no clue. So that's my X. If I wanted to find half of them, I was going to divide them by 2. Okay? And then it says over here that she gave away 17 apples in all. So that's going to be my equal. So I'm going to look at what I have over here. I have X over 2 plus 3 equals 17. And that is my equation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to solve it, just like we did before. I'm going to do my addition and subtraction first. This is positive 3, so I'm going to subtract 3, which is 0. Since I subtracted 3 over here, I also have to subtract 3 over here, which is 14. So now I have X over 2 equals 14. And if I want to get, I'm sorry, I didn't even notice that, couldn't see that. So if I want to get X by itself, I've got to multiply times 2. Multiply times 2. So how many apples did I start with? 28.